much, Deputy Mayor, and really want to thank our Assemblywoman who we will be hearing from in a moment. Assemblywoman Zimmerman, you had the vision, you understood this, you were a staunch advocate in Albany on how important this issue is. Childcare, we talked about it over and over again. It is one of the greatest inhibitors to families, particularly women, from getting back into the workforce, and it has been a burden for far too long. And we had an ambitious call to actually get the dollars that we need. And today, win is a promise made and a promise kept. And I cannot thank Albany enough. This is a victory for families and children throughout the entire state in general, but specifically here in the city of New York. A few weeks ago, I talked to New Yorkers and said that we're going to partner with our electeds in Albany and move this important agenda forward. And this is what we did. We got it done. And kudos to the Assembly and the senators who really understood the importance of this and moved this forward. The state has acted and committed $4 billion in funding for New York City child care over the next 4 years. That is an amazing lift, and really it just shows that the lawmakers heard us and they responded accordingly. And we have also secured authorization for our tax incentives that will spur the private sector in creating 17,000 new child care slots. When we look at the vacant retail space and other vacant spaces that could be utilized, this is a real win, a real partnership to look at a need of filling spaces and a need of child care. One solution to solve a multitude of problems that New Yorkers are facing. And I want to thank Governor Hochul and the leaders in both the Senate and the Assembly and the members of both the Senate and Assembly for moving this forward. We could not ask for the help greater than what you have given us. Again, a special shout out also to Assemblyman Hevesy for helping us get this done. And I want to thank them for expanding the affordability for families, getting relief to families who are struggling to find appropriate child care. And during this time of COVID-19, these families were hit hard, and working families were hit even harder. They have lost wages, and many of their children and the child care that comes with it, their children were not able to get the adequate child care, and the affordability has been a real issue. And we're hearing it all over the city and all over the state. Families are balancing between the need of child care and family members staying home to provide good, adequate child care. And child care is more than just sitting in front of a TV and not having that real beginning phase of learning and developing the mind of children. And that is why this is such an important announcement, because it's part of our feeder to give children what they need as they start out with their educational experiences, something that the Chancellor talks about all the time. Raising a family in New York City should not be hard. And it has been hard for so many people, and we are trying, and we will make things easier for families. Expanding access to high-quality child care is a way to do so. Nothing holds back opportunities more than not having access to good, solid child care and employment. And I know this story too well, watching my mother having to balance 2 jobs while raising my 5 siblings and me, and how difficult it was. So this is something that's generational, was in the making, that needed to be corrected, and that is what we are doing. Mothers and parents are forced to make these unfair choices, and we're making life easier for them. And I cannot thank our partners enough. We're changing that today by moving in the right direction, ensuring access and affordable child care for children and families in the city. So thanks to the entire team. I'm sure the chancellor's happy that we're getting this done, but I cannot say enough for my partners in Albany that they decided to take this up. People thought it was not possible, but we knew it was possible. So again, thank you so much, and congratulations to all who played a vital role in getting this done. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mayor Adams. And it's so appropriate to be having this conversation on a day when all the children are home at the beginning of the break. So everyone is really acutely appreciating the need for quality, affordable, accessible childcare. I'm going to turn now to Chancellor Banks to give a few words.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Deputy Mayor Wright. Happy that I'm also joined today by Deputy Chancellor Ahmed. Thank you all for being here this morning. This is a great, great day, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this announcement that the mayor is making this morning. You know, when the mayor appointed me chancellor, you know, we vowed to transform the lives of New York City's children, particularly our Black and brown children who are disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And today we're bridging this gap and celebrating a truly historic win. $7 billion in state funding across the state, of which New York City is receiving $4 billion for childcare over the next 4 years. It is critically important that we provide young children with critical literacy and language supports, not just in 3K and pre-K, but beginning at birth. We know that the first 3 years of a child's life have a profound impact on their future learning and can change the trajectory of their growth. So it is our responsibility to provide all children and their families with access to a high quality early childhood education. And those families are relying on us to provide rich learning and care for their child every single day. So New York stepped up and is showing up for our families. Education is a lifelong journey, and we are committed to ensuring that children begin this journey with their best foot forward. So this major investment in our children is an investment in the future of our great city. So thank you to everyone who helped to make this happen. Deputy Mayor, right?
Thank you so much. And I will tell you, as the Deputy Mayor of Strategic Initiatives, Mayor Adams on day one charged all of his administration to work collectively and collaboratively to figure out how do we dramatically increase opportunity. So since day one, the DOE, ACS, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Department of Social Services, Department of Buildings have been working on a big plan, a master plan to really increase these opportunities. And this is fuel in the tank for that plan. So we're very excited about that. And like to introduce Assemblywoman Stephanie Zinnerman, who a key champion and making sure that plan can be executed here in New York City.
Good morning, Mayor Adams, and to Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, and of course, our wonderful new Chancellor. Greetings to you all. I am ecstatic to be here on Good Friday to deliver some good news along with our mayor. We have a cohort of champions across the states, but certainly it is a team effort that got us all here today. As someone who is the child of an early childhood educator, my mother's voice is always in my ear when I go to work about what are we doing for the children. And when I look to my colleagues and what we've been able to accomplish this year, I really just want to give a couple of shout outs before we get started. Certainly to Kimberly Jean-Pierre, Assemblywoman, who is the head of the Legislative Women's Caucus, who I am proud to serve with, was one of those great champions this year. We had only 3 priorities, and the number one priority was childcare. as a member of the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Caucus. I have to give it up to Assembly Woman Micael Solanges, our chairwoman. Again, we had many priorities in the people's budget, but childcare was first and front and center. And so we really wanted to work with the members of the Senate and, of course, Alan Hevesy, Assembly Member, Head of Children and Families, to really dig deep and listen to the needs of our constituents, upstate and downstate, as we like to say, from Brooklyn to Buffalo. And so one of the first things we wanted to do was look at early childhood education. Downstate, we are lucky we have a robust educational system, but upstate, there were many people. As a matter of fact, there's 800,000 children who did not have access to full pre-K. And so we were able to do that in this budget and manage to, through tax incentives, make sure that our families could benefit from these tax incentives so that they could afford quality health care. So I want to thank you all for your partnership. I am just ecstatic for what this is going to mean for children and families downstate this year. But we have more work to do, and we will continue to put our foot on the gas like we did for foundation aid and bring home the resources to our community.
Thank you so much, so much. And next, we are going to hear from the people on the ground who make it happen. Kevin, the owner of Kwai Luck Childcare Center, a historic program that has served families for years and years. We'd love to hear from you about what this means.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Banks, Mayor Adams and Chancellor Banks. Thank you, Deputy Wright. My name is Kevin Kong. I'm the proud product of the New York City public education system, and I'm here with all these great leaders here to celebrate a historic moment. 20 years ago, my mom had to quit her job because she had to make that choice between childcare and being with her family. And she started the program, and here we are today. I am very grateful and thankful that we can continue to do this work and make it affordable and accessible to more families. And we're very excited to see, the next process and how childcare is going to unfold in the next couple of years with all this great funding that the New York State Assembly has afforded us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And would love to invite Mom Agnes Cha and her husband Joseph Gim to talk a little bit about what this means for parents who are working hard to provide care for their children as well as contribute to the community.
Good morning, thank you. My husband is at work right now while I am working from home with the kids, so it is very timely to have this discussion. Last month, I was able to speak of how important accessible childcare is for our family. And I truly appreciate the mayor for listening to working families like ours and commit to getting the funding that we needed. So thank you, Mayor Adams, for advocating for early childhood education to help build a strong foundation for our children. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think now are we gonna take a few questions or?
Yes, we are going. Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you now.
The first question will go, it's on topic first, will go to Michael Gartland.
I only have an off-topic question, Mr. Mayor, so I'm gonna, if you want me to do it later, I could do it later.
It's fine.
I could do it. Need to be a pain in the rear end here.
Never, Michael.
As long as you can hear me. Can you hear me okay? My voice is a little weak today.
Yes, we can, Michael.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, today's tax day. It's Good Friday too, but are you planning to put out your tax returns this year in a show of, openness I'm just curious if that's in the works or if that's something you're thinking of doing. I know this came up on the campaign trail last year.
I will comply with whatever rules are in place. You know, we do a disclosure also. I think that's in sometime in May. So whatever rules are in place to ensure transparency for those who are in public office, I'm going to comply 100%.
We can go to Liz Kim.
Oh, can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I can.
Good morning. I wanted to ask, in the wake of the shooting, you know, you've talked about piloting this new technology. You also doubled the number of police officers at subway stations. Is this going to mean that you'll need to increase the NYPD budget given these additional investments that you're talking about?
No, not at all. And the doubling was on the day of the incident. We held the day tour, which is the early morning tour, and we had the afternoon tour, stayed with them to complement the day tour. We did that the day of the shooting. Our goal was to make sure we secured the system while the gunman was still at large. We're not increasing the budget based on the technology that we're looking to put in place and based on how we're going to deploy our officers. I always stated that the goal is to deploy the officers more efficiently, and that is what we are committed to doing.
Okay, we are still doing on topic first, please, everyone. We'll go to Courtney Gross.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. I only have off topic too, so I can go ahead and ask it, or I can come back later, whatever you guys want me to do.
Why don't we see, are there any on topics? If there's not, we can excuse the others and I can answer whatever off topics. You see any hands? I don't have the full screen. Are there any on topics?
Please indicate in the chat if you have an on topic question. Thank you.
Okay, so why don't we switch to off topics? We can thank everyone else. Thanks all for joining. And again, congratulations on the job well done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, why don't we go with the off topics?
Go ahead, Courtney.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you fine, Courtney?
Okay, great. I hope you're feeling better.
Yes, great.
My question is about how you're feeling, whether or not you expect to leave isolation or quarantine tomorrow, and if your team has done any contact tracing that's shown that you potentially have, that there's any more cases related to how you got COVID within City Hall or the administration.
I feel fine. I'm going to adhere strictly to the CDC guidelines and the doctors. They gave me very clear instructions, and I'm going to adhere to that. City Hall, of my understanding, we did not do contact tracing. If H&H did, we can reach out to Dr. Katz to find out.
We are going to Emma Fitzsimmons at New York Times next.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Emma.
Hi, so I had a question about the subway shooting. So Frank James was in public eating at the Chinatown restaurant Dimes. He was walking around the city. He was spotted by a 17-year-old who posted a photo on Twitter around 10:30 that morning. So we were curious, were the police getting credible tips about him throughout the day on Tuesday and Wednesday? And what would it have taken to have caught him sooner?
I think the police did an amazing job in a city of 8.8 million people, with all the square mileage here and the different locations and different ways of moving around. You look at some of these investigation of acts of terror like this, it takes days for the person to be apprehended. Even the Boston bomber, I believe it took 3 days to do so. I take my hat off to the good old-fashioned wearing our shoe leather, putting the pieces together, This was an amazing job by the New York City Police Department, the FBI, ATF, all of our law enforcement on the state, city, and federal level. So to apprehend a person like this and close that net, to get that picture up right away, to give the profile, be able to piece together the pieces, this is commendable. And so you want to catch a person before they commit an act, ideally, and you want to catch them while they're committing the act. But the best out of the scenario is to catch them immediately after, and the police department did an excellent job. And someone can also always reflect and say, should they have caught him on the 29th hour or the 28th hour or the 27th hour? That always happens. They did a great job, and I take my hat off to the men and women who conducted a thorough investigation and brought him to justice.
The next question will be Amanda Eisenberg from Politico.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I wanted to ask you about some mental health initiatives in the light of the subway shooting. I spoke to a bunch of health professionals, and they had some questions around what can be done for somebody like Mr. James, who, you know, had multiple interactions with mental health professionals over the past couple of decades. Like, it seems like this is somebody who had access to mental health care, but it seemingly didn't help prevent Tuesday's horrific attack. So I was wondering if there's, you know, any mental health issues that you're looking at that are more top of mind in terms of responding to this incident, and then also responding to the trauma of New Yorkers who, you know, anecdotally, I'm hearing people are still afraid to take the subway.
Deputy Mayor Williams Isom is going to convene a conversation with some of our mental health professionals, and we want to sit down and use this as a case study. What could we be doing differently? How do we continue to do the work that we're doing already? And as you know, Dr. Fassan, who we brought on, he was a part of an organization called Fountain House. This was why I specifically wanted him to be part of the team, because mental health issues is a real issue that we are facing, not only post-COVID-19 outbreak, but pre-COVID-19. We're looking at the attempted suicide rates are increasing. We're looking at people who are stating that they're dealing with mental health issues right now. And so we have to get it right. This is generational in the making, a broken system, but we need help also on the state level and on the federal level. We need more mental health beds, psychiatric beds. I stood with Neisner throughout the campaign talking about how do we get more beds online. And we have to really have an all hands on deck in dealing with mental health issues that people are facing throughout the entire city. But there's something else that I talk about that many people, particularly on social media, is refusing to acknowledge. How often are we allowing social media platforms to be used as festering the hot timbers of mental health issues that are being that we are facing in our city? Social media must step up and play a better role in not continuing to allow this to fester and using it as a platform to continue to fester some of the anger that we witnessed in this incident of the shooting. And so we're going to be sitting down speaking with social media industries and tell them they must play a better role in policing their sites.
The next question goes to Nolan Hicks at the New York Post.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Mr. Mayor, I've got two unrelated questions, if you'll indulge me. The first is, Mike asked if you would release your taxes, but I didn't hear a hard yes or no. Mayor de Blasio released his taxes every year. Can we get a firm commitment from you that you'll do the same? And then I have a question on the subways.
No, you can't. What's your second question?
All right, the second question on the subways is, the subway shooter, Frank James, was apparently out and about on the town. He apparently went and got some food at Dimes and then went to Katz's for lunch while the entire city was looking for him. I mean, what should we read into that?
Again, I think I answered that question. I laid it out as thorough as possible. NYPD did a great job. Sometimes people walk past us in the streets that we don't know that they wanted for a crime. So I think we put the photo out. When someone identified him, they reached out to us. Listen, I thank you, New York. Those who identified him, they did the right thing. People walk past us every day, particularly with a face mask on, or particularly, at one time, one of the photos, he looked slimmer at the time. I was surprised that he wasn't as slim as the photo indicated. And so NYPD, New Yorkers, they all did the right thing. And bringing a person to justice in 30 hours after they discharged 33 rounds of ammunition, that is commendable for our law enforcement agencies. People who commit crimes are often in plain sight until people identify and make the connection, and that's what New Yorkers did. And I cannot thank New Yorkers enough for how we all rallied together around this.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to wrap.
Thank you. Take care.